Right, we're explaining now the idea of number 3, that the Torah is called a triple Torah. It can be divided into, it's called 5 books of Moses, Torah, and the Nevi'im, called the prophets, and the Ketuvim, like Psalms and Proverbs. The Jewish people are also triple people. They have the Kohanim, the Leviim, and the Israelim. The Torah was given in the 3rd month. The 3rd month is month of Sivan. First month is Nisan, then Iyar, and then Sivan. It says the Rebbe, there's a special importance to the number 3, even though the whole purpose of the Torah, I'm going to move closer, even though the whole purpose of the Torah is to reveal the oneness of God. And as we say in our prayer, Ein od milvado, there's nothing except for God. But still, the only way this oneness of God can really be expressed is when there are 3. What's it mean, 3? There has to be God, there has to be the opposite, and there has to be something that joins them together. There has to be Hashem, and that's the creator, that's the one. Hashem is one. But then all of a sudden there's the creation. And the creation makes us forget that there's a creator.
Is this connected to your idea that God hides himself and he conceals himself, but that's a concealment?
That's right.
So
yes, definitely. There's the idea of God, and then there's God's concealment, and then there's in the middle the Jews and the Torah that join them together. What does it mean that God conceals himself? God creates a world, and the world is real. God creates it. It says in the Bible, God created the world. Reshit Bora Elokim, God created the heavens and the earth. So the world is really real, and the world has the tendency, the ability to make us totally forget that there's a creator that's creating it. Well, as soon as you forget that there's a creator, then the world is not really real anymore. The only reality that there is in the world is because God is creating it. And as soon as you say there's no God creating it, then there's really no meaning in the world. There's no purpose. Why are we here? It's just this big empty question mark, and you get all these weird philosophies and ideas. There's no purpose. Just row your boat gently down the stream. And you have all these religions that say, well, the purpose is just to feel pleasure. Right? To feel pleasure, the more pleasure you feel spiritual pleasure. That's even better. But there's no God that tells you what to do. That's what the world is. That's what it means. Something separate from God. In fact, the world is not separate from God. In fact, the world is an amazing, miraculous, beautiful creation that God is creating it all the time, and every detail has meaning. But the world has the tendency to make a person think that it's not real. Where does the tendency come from? A person, people themselves are part of the world. People themselves are part of the creations. And there's something inside of a person that tells him that there is no creator, that all there is me. And the world verifies this feeling. And as soon as a person really feels there is no such thing as God, so then the world becomes unreal. It becomes purposeless, meaningless. And everybody just does what they want. Some people decide they want to go for pleasure, some people for power, some people for money, some for spiritual pleasure, some for physical pleasure. It becomes the only thing that you can be really sure of becomes just yourself. And so that it seems that there's something separate from God. There's God, it's number 1. Then there's the world and myself, that's number 2. And then there's the Torah, which is supposed to join all of them together. So we see that God's unity is best expressed by the number 3. Because God wants there to be a world, and he wants this world to show his harmony, to show his greatness, to show his love, to show his beauty, show his power. That's why he wants a world. Why he decided such a thing like that, I don't know. But if he would not have decided it, there would be no world, and there would be no us sitting and discussing this. Which some people say maybe it's better, but the fact is that's what God did, and we say that the creation of the world is better than not creating the world. That's why God created it.
But how many years ago did he create it?
God created the world. I was not there at the time. Even though it does say We learn in the morning that God did ask me. Said he asked the souls of all the Jews. I happen to be Jewish. So before he created the world, he said, B'min nimlach, who did God consult? He consulted the souls of the Jews. But God created the world, to answer your question, in one word. Maybe it's more than one word. One number. 5,779 and 3/4 world years ago. Right? And 9 months ago, God created the world. In 5,779 as of this moment, and 9 months ago exactly. What was there before God created the world? No time. There was no time. There was no place. There was no money. Get it? So that's when God created the world. Exactly that amount of time. Exactly. According to the Jewish calendar, that's the way it goes. That's Jewish faith in any case. I mean, you can try to sort of water it down and say, there's a time warp and there's speed of light and maybe it varied and who knows, maybe every year, it says every day is 1,000 years and every day is 1,000,000 years, maybe it's 1,000,000,000 years. You can say all those things, but they're all wrong. They're wrong. And the people who say them are religious people and they have good proofs, but the fact is they're totally wrong. The fact is, what it says in the Bible, that's what it is. It says the world was created in 7 days, means 7 days. And we've talked about this before. The question is not how God can make it so short. The question is why it took him so long. Why 7 days? If God can make something from nothing in no time, so for sure he can take something and make a bigger something, should also take no time. So why did it have to take 7 days? God could have created the whole world in one instant. Why did he create it 7 days? Why not 3 days? Why not 18 days? Why not a year? These people say, no, that's too short. Got to be a few billion years.
It's just that a day is a reference point that we can understand.
So the idea is, no, time was existing. The pattern of time existed before the world existed. That's the book, the Sefer Yetzirah. It goes also according to the Hebrew alphabet, because the world was created with God's alphabet. It says, Shlosh Emos Sheva Kafulos. There are 3 what's called mother letters, Aleph, Mem, Shin, and there's 7 doubles. 7. This corresponds to the 7 emotions of God. And God created the world in 7 days corresponding to these 7 emotions. And that's why when we finish the 7-day period, we go another time 7. Why do we say today is the first day, second day, 7th day? 7th day, Shabbos. Then after that it should be, now it's the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? 14th day, Shabbos. 22, Shabbos. Right? 21, Shabbos. It should continue counting. This year should be which day is this? Day number 8 million or something. I don't know. Count it. But it doesn't. We say it's number 7 because it's always expressing the 7 emotions of God. Because if not, God could have created the world in one instant. What do we have to say created in 7 days for? It makes no sense. 7 days. Say 7 days, say 7 billion years. How does that solve the problem by saying that every day was really 1 billion years? Why was there a day at all? Why does it say there was a day? Why did he say God created the world? That's it. Right? He created the world. And there were fish, and there was sun, there was the moon, there was this. Why does it say this day he created this, and this day he created this? Why make up those stories? So the answer is that because what that says in the Torah, that's exactly the way it was. It wasn't made up. God created the world exactly in that amount of time. And time itself also goes according to a pattern. Look in this book called Sefer Yetzirah. See, the number 12 is because there's a number 12 has a spiritual meaning. The number 7 has a spiritual meaning. The number 10 has a spiritual meaning, etc., etc., etc. Let us go further. V'zeh gam tam. This is the reason that the Torah is called emet. Why the Torah is called true. The Torah is called truth. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Torah emet al Lashono. Torah emet. The Torah is called the truth. Kamayim Rizal ein emet el Torah. like the rabbis say in the Talmud and Brachot, there is no truth except for the Torah. What is truth? What does it mean, truth? Truth means it's eternal. It doesn't stop. A thing which stops is not really called true. What does this mean? We'll see. Like is known the law of what's called false rivers. What does it mean, false rivers? In order to take the ashes of the red cow, it's a very complicated law in Judaism that if a person becomes defiled by a dead body, touches a dead body, or is in a room with a dead body, so he can never go to the holy temple ever in the rest of his life until is sprinkled on him some water which is mixed in a little bit of the ashes of the red cow. They find the red cow that's perfectly red, and then they slaughter it and they burn it, and then they mix a little bit of this red cow ashes with water, and you sprinkle it on an impure person, the person becomes pure. Totally above understanding. Makes no sense whatsoever. The whole idea that if you're in a room with a dead person, you're impure, and then there's a little sprinkling makes you pure. But that's what God decided. Definitely God decided, no doubt about it. God decided. If you were going to go in to try to understand everything that God made, everything that didn't make any sense, as shouldn't be there, you should take everything out. Well, you'd have to take probably all the people out of the world also. Why does God create all these people, and why does he create the whole world? Doesn't make any sense. And why does he create all these bugs and all these things? And so, which would probably make a lot of people happy. I mean, the Muslims and these people destroy all the world. I don't think anything would make them more happy than that.
I thought they would want to destroy it.
And they would get destroyed also. The ones who believe go to heaven, and the ones don't go to hell. That's ideal. What could be better than that? The judgment day. Judaism says no. The most important thing is life. The most important thing is life, and here we can make decisions. What is in this world? There is a lot of falseness. This world is called the world of Sheker. It's a false world. Why? Because the world is very temporary. Temporary. Life in this world is very temporary. Life is a big lie. But your soul is eternal. And if you do things according to your soul, then they also remain eternal, even though we can't see it because we have finite eyes. So we can't see those things. But the world itself is a big lie. But God puts in this world the Torah. The Torah is called truth. Let's open this door a little bit because it's getting unbearably hot. Therefore, the Torah is called the Torah of truth. Like it says, Emet Tikon La'ad. Like it says, truth stands forever. Davar Zeh Ramuz Gam Be'oteot Aleph Mem Tat. It's also tough. It is also hinted at in the three letters of the word Emet. Kamuz Bar Yerushalmi, like it says in the Gemara, Talmud Yerushalmi, in Sanhedrin, Talmud Yerushalmi, it says that Aleph is the beginning of the letters, Mem is the middle letter, Taf is the last of the letters. Emes, truth, Shava Bekol Makom, Barosh Be'emsa B'sof. Truth is something which is standing, whether in the beginning or in the end or in the middle. Truth is infinite. Shalochi, and therefore Mechonah HaTorah, the Torah is called Emet, true. Why? Shekain Ein La Kol Agbalot. There are no limitations to the Torah. Mitzvot, the commandments are limited. Zman u'makom, time and place. Also, the mitzvah of learning Torah has a limit in time. Elu atrudim basakim. For instance, the people who are working in their job according to the Torah, they're exempt from learning Torah. When they need to work, what can they do? Like it's explained in the Shulchan Aruch. That's the mitzvahs, but the Torah is not limited at all. Lo bizman v'lo b'makom, not in time and not in place. Like it says in the Gemara, lo onso shani. If a person is really under duress, so he cannot learn Torah, that's different. But the commandments, they depend on time. Even the commandment of learning Torah, it depends on time. But the Torah itself is unlimited. What does this mean? There's the joke. I don't know if it's a joke. It's a well-known story. Reb Zusha, I told the story a lot of times. Reb Zusha Van Ipoli and his brother Rav Eli Melech Melizinsk, once they were put into prison. And the prison was just a big room, and there was a bucket in the middle. That was the toilet. And Reb Zusha started to cry. And his brother said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Because we're in a room that's like a toilet. And according to the Jewish law, you cannot even think words of Torah or prayer in a place that's like a toilet. And so I can't serve God." So his brother said, "Why don't you realize that's exactly the opposite? Why can't you learn Torah in this room? Why can't you think holy things in this room? Because it says so in the Jewish book of law." So it ends up that every moment that you're not learning, you want to learn, right? Yeah. But you're not learning. Why aren't you learning? Because it says so in the book of law. So it comes out that every single instant you're going according to what the Torah says. If so, you are following the Torah. You should be really happy. You're doing exactly what God wants. So he said, "You're right," and they started dancing. We're so happy. And the warden came along. All the other prisoners also were clapping because they're bored. And the warden comes along and says, "What's this, all this dancing? What is this?" And everybody's pointing to the two Jews. And the warden says, what are they dancing about? And everybody says, "I don't know, but I saw them talking in this Yiddish or whatever language, and they're pointing at this pot in the middle of the room, and for some crazy reason, this toilet makes them happy." So he said, "If so, it makes them happy. I don't want Jews to be happy. I'll take it out and put it in another room. From now on, anyone wants to go to the bathroom, goes into the next room." So it ends up, when were they really observing the Torah? They thought when you're learning the Torah, when you're doing the commandments. He says, no, also when you are not learning the Torah, because
Which in that case was
that was the commandment. So if so, the Torah applies everywhere in every situation, just in different ways, but the Torah is eternal. There is no situation which is not covered by the Torah. What you're supposed to do, what is your obligation and responsibility for that time. So the Torah is called Torah Emet, it's called true. Why is it called true? Because it applies everywhere, and it applies at all times. Asher Lapoel, Yesh Lahat Mid Balimut Torah. The Rebbe says, what is the message of the holiday of Shavuot? We receive the Torah. What is the purpose of the Torah? The Torah is God's will. The Torah is God's wisdom. The Torah unites the heavens with the earth. It unites the Creator with the creation. This is all wonderful, but what do you have? These are great ideas, but what do we have to actually do? Right? Except learning these ideas, and we can expound them. If someone calls on you to speak in front of a crowd, you can say these ideas. The Torah is given the third month because it unifies the number 3, which is God and the world and the Torah. The 3 are unified. Wonderful. What are we supposed to do? Says the fact. In fact, does this obligate us to do something more than just talk about it? So the Rebbe, certainly. We have to, in fact, learn Torah. You have to learn the Torah as much as possible, as often as possible, as deeply as possible. Shesofel shel davar lo lilmod, you shouldn't learn Torah kedei letzeit leShulchan Aruch, just in order to fulfill the minimum obligation, what it says in the law book. Your minimum obligation is sofer shel davar olu lebol maskana she'al pi shulchan aruch efshar lilmod gam perek echad shachris. If you only learn the bare minimum, you want to see what do I have to do in order to fill my obligation to God, and you come to the conclusion, the minimum. Listen, I mean, you think about it, how many Jews put on kippahs? Put on, not too many. That I do that, I'm okay already. I don't have to do much more than that. Not only that, I put on tefillin. Oh, this is something big. God should really be happy with me. Not only that, I have tzitzis. This is fantastic. You know what? I'm tired. I did enough. What did you do? You put on tefillin, you do this. Nah, listen, I have my own life to live. I got my own life to live. You want me to do more? Hey, maybe you'd like me to do less, huh? Maybe it's not good what I'm doing, huh? Maybe I should do less. Come on, this. Okay, so just leave me alone. All right, good, leave him alone. He's right, leave him alone. Says the Rebbe, listen, you can come to your own conclusions about what your obligations are to God. But the fact of the matter is that why should you really be learning Torah and doing the commandments? Should be learning Torah and doing the commandments in order to do what God wants. Very simple. Forget about what rewards you get and are you doing enough, the minimum, just to put in your time and leave. I remember once I worked in this big factory. In the break, when the university, the break, so I got a job in this big factory. They made ice cream, popsicles, and things like that.
Good job.
Yeah, it was, anyway. So the fact is I didn't like ice cream that much. So I guess it was a bad job. A good thing I didn't get a job. What I do like, that would have been terrible. But I got a job at this ice cream place. And so at that time, I started reading. In university, it was just terribly boring. But I read a lot of books outside of university. So what I would do was I would finish my job really quick. And then I would get a book and try to find somewhere that I could sort of hide. So the job, I was supposed to work 7 hours, something like that. So I finished everything I had to do in 1 hour. And I did it, and really the fact of the matter was, let's say a normal person could have finished it in 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. But I finished it in 1 hour. And then I looked for a place then I found a good place to sit and learn and read books. So I sat and read this book. Anyway, one of the workers came up to me and he said, listen, you're doing a great job here, you're doing great work. He said, but I want you to remember, you're only a replacement, right? In the summer replacement, somebody went, you're a replacement. He said, if you do this job in 1 hour, then the person who comes back, they're going to expect he's going to do it in an hour. And so you're wrecking it for him. And we don't want you to do that. I said, I don't want to do it either. I'm not going to wreck it for him. I'll do it. He says, I know you read your books, you have this, but you'll have to read it another time. You won't. No. I saw he was also ready, to start threatening or something like that, but he didn't. He spoke very nicely. And I said, yeah, and I said, I'll do the same thing. Yes, okay, you got a good point, right? So in other words, what does that mean? You can do the minimum, you can get by quick, and then do what you want. Do what you want. He says, no, do me a favor. You're here to work. You're supposed to work for whatever it is, 8 hours. Work for 8 hours. Take time. You want to do it maybe 7 hours, 6 hours. Okay, you can take a few little longer breaks. But you work from the beginning of the day until the end of the day, you work. I said, okay, no problem whatsoever. Something like that is with Hashem, except for the trick, except for taking it easy. Right? A person can say, listen, I'll do the bare minimum what I have to do. Let's look in the book. And, God should be pretty happy that I'm doing anything. And that's it. Then I have the rest of my day for myself. Says the Rebbe, okay, it's good. The fact of the matter is, if you do one commandment in your whole life, it's an amazing thing. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because Hashem is above the time, and every commandment is above the time, is connected to the essence of God. Great. One commandment in your whole life. One time you put on tefillin. Okay, good. Very wonderful. Let's not say it's bad, it's good. But 2 times is even more wonderful. And 10 times is more wonderful. And if you put on every day, So that's even more important. And what if you just put on for 5 minutes with them? You don't want to put on at all? I can't tell you. The union boss is not watching it. You can do what you want. Says the Rebbe. On the other hand, you're serving the Creator. He's so good. He's giving you everything. And He's giving you the chance to connect with Him. That's why you should do the commandments. Not in order to think, what's the minimum that I can do so that I can also have a little time for myself. So that's what the Rebbe says. That's the idea of the Torah. The Torah, Af ein la'aroch chishuvim. Don't start making all sorts of calculations. Shagadol Talmud kedei lida et ha'maisa. That the reason you're learning the Torah is only to know what you should do. If so, the reason that you're learning the Torah is only to know the law, actually what to do, very good, that's very nice. But that's only a little bit of the picture. Whenever you have a question, that's when you should sit down and learn Torah. And the Chumash, the Gemara, when you get interested, you want to find the source of the law, what you're doing, why should I put on tefillin, why, how to do it, then you start learning. But really, if it's not relevant to actual deed, like let's say 90% of the Gemara, right? You read 90% of the Talmud. It's not relevant to law at all. There's big, huge arguments back and forth when you should check the chometz and the Erev Pesach, when it's permissible to eat and when it's not permissible to eat. Arguments go back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. And really, after 8-9 pages of arguments, it just comes to one little conclusion in the end. Now, there are some people, there is the Rosh, the Rabbeinu Asher, and he really did that. He wrote a shortened version of the Talmud, only what was really relevant to action, to deed. So it's much, much shorter than the Talmud that we've got. Much, much shorter. But still, even what he wrote, right, sometimes it has different opinions. You don't really need that. All you really need is just to know what to do. A person that does that, good, he might know what to do, but he's not fulfilling the commandment of learning Torah. Let's see. Yesh ladad, you should know she'ikrin in the Torah. The main thing of the Torah is not just to learn Torah in order to know what to do. That's also very important. But the main thing of the Torah is Torah l'shem Torah. You should learn the Torah for the sake of the Torah. Yesh lahatmid b'Torah. There's a printing error here. Hatmid it should be. You should work hard at the Torah every moment. Yagdal Torah v'yadir. You should make the Torah great. So in other words, on Mount Sinai, when God gave the Torah, the fact is He didn't give really that much. By the way, what did happen on the holiday of Shavuot? You know? Holiday of Shavuot. The Jewish people got the Torah. What exactly did they get when they got the Torah? What did they get? They got the Torah. All these commandments, all this is very deep. But what did they really get when they got the Torah? What did they get? They got the tablets, right? No, Moshe broke the tablets. So what did they get? They all heard the 10 commandments directly from God. No, also not. They heard the first 2 commandments from God. They heard the first 2 commandments. I am God who took you out of Egypt. Don't worship other gods. Then they couldn't take any more. That's all they heard. 10 commandments. The rest of the 10 commandments they heard from Moshe. Moshe came down. It says, Moshe daber v'Hashem yanenu b'kol. Moshe spoke and God helped his voice and made it very powerful so that he could hear. Be heard. So what did the Jews really receive in Mount Sinai? They received God Himself. They received God Himself. Because what were the 10 commandments? What are the 10 commandments? Things that even the Eskimos know. You don't have to have 10 commandments to know you shouldn't kill, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't take somebody else's wife, right? You shouldn't lie, right? You shouldn't lie. These are obvious things. These are parts of society. What? There's societies that not. There's societies that yes. There's societies that murder is also okay. There's societies that... But the fact is there are societies that have come to the conclusion that the 10 commandments, or part of the 10 commandments, because of just logic, because of keeping order, keeping law and order. If everybody steals everybody else's wife, nobody knows who their mother is. Nobody knows who their father is. Right? You steal everybody's properties, nobody's going to want to work. You work, all of a sudden somebody's going to take everything away from you. Right? You get people murder each other, so there's no point in life. No point in life. Life becomes meaningless, totally meaningless.
Where are the cops when you need them?
That's what's happening now pretty much in America with this thing of abortion. You want to have abortion. Life means nothing. Life is just a burden. Just a burden. And to bring another life into the world, it's just to bring a person into suffering. Why bring
So
big
the commandments are not so super rational.
Right. What?
They're not so obvious in small societies. You just pointed out, like in America.
There are societies that yes, and there are societies that no. But the societies that do decide to do the Ten Commandments don't do it because God commanded them. Right? The societies that decide that murder is bad. Right? In China, murder is forbidden. Why? Because it says in the Bible. What do you mean? A lot of these people never even heard of the Bible before. Right? What's wrong with in stealing? Stealing is bad. Why is stealing bad? Because it keeps society going. Everybody steals from everybody else. No good. Not because it says in the Bible. People don't care about what it says in the Bible. On the other hand, what it says in the Ten Commandments goes against human nature. Human nature. And that's one aspect of it. But society goes against human nature. For there's all sorts of different. I remember this. What?
Is human nature a bad
No,
thing?
it's a neutral thing. It depends how you define bad and good. Also, there's all sorts of arguments about where the laws come from. Where if it's just from. I remember learning in university. I don't even remember. Thomas Hume was one guy, and these other people. They have these ideas about where laws come from. Where came this idea of the laws, the Hammurabi laws, of the this laws, that laws? But in the end, they come from human nature. People's conscience started bothering them. And they said, "Listen, I killed somebody yesterday. I feel bad. Why should I feel bad? What's wrong? Why do I feel bad? Because you did something wrong. Wrong? What is wrong? What does that mean, wrong? Right? Listen, life, it's logical. You know what? Go ask Sigmund Freud what's going on. Say, the reason you have conscience is because you had a complex from when your father was this, and really you shouldn't have any complex. There's complexes you shouldn't. Conscience is a sickness, disease. That's what he really said. A person that starts to believe in God is this. No, Hitler was a good pupil of Freud's. Huh? No. They learned from the same place. Nature. Their teacher was the same teacher. They both worshiped nature. There was the famous thing. There's a book which is called Judgment in Jerusalem or something. It's the last days of Eichmann. They brought him a priest, Eichmann, that he should confess. He said, "My God is nature, and I have done no crime in front of my God." Not a crime in front of God. Anyway, after they killed him, so they went around and they asked 70 Israeli wise men if it was a good thing to do. So Martin Buber, who was a Jewish, totally secular philosopher, he said you should not have killed him because we should not say that the gallows rose in Israel even for such a person like this. Because he should not have caused us to be murderers. Right? That's even worse. Bad enough he murdered people. Now we're murderers. So I thought, Rabbi Shalom, Eichmann and Buber are worshiping the same God. They're worshiping the God of nature. It's just as the nature of Jews is to have mercy. That's the nature of Jews. They're soft-hearted. And the nature of Germans is to be hard-hearted. That's their nature. To do whatever you tell them to do, they'll do it. Kill people, no problem. So the Torah was given in the world. The Ten Commandments. The Jews heard the Ten Commandments. No big deal. They didn't have to wait. Look at this. They didn't have to go to be and suffer in Egypt for 200 years, whatever, in order to get these laws. Don't kill, don't steal. I didn't have to go to suffer in Egypt for that long. I could have gone to Alaska. The Eskimos know that. Right? I had to suffer in Egypt for 200 years with the big miracles and splitting the sea and 10 plagues, going to the mountain, and then God says, you can imagine all the people are down there, and God says, I am God, don't worship any of the gods, honor your mother and father, don't kill, don't steal, and the whole crowd goes, that's it, end of message. Hey, that's not right. Right? you got time left. What is this? We paid good money. It makes no sense. That's what the Jewish people hear. Hang on. He says, what did the Jewish people really get at the Ten Commandments? They got Hashem Himself. And they got the opportunity to connect with Hashem Himself through learning the Torah. Yud Beis. La'or Amor, considering what we just said, Yuv and Gam Ha'evdo, we can understand between the difference between Torah and the commandments regarding children. Now the Rebbe stressed very, very much that on Shavuot, we should try to get all of the children as much as possible into the synagogues to hear the reading of the Torah. Ten Commandments. And all the Chabad houses, what they do is they make a special reading of the Ten Commandments, usually late in the day, so that kids can come. And they give the kids popsicles and all sorts of things. In all of the different commandments, children are exempt. Yeshna omnam mitzvah mishum chovas chinuch. It's true. You have to educate small children. Achzu eino ela midivrei sofrim. But this is not from the Torah. Only from the rabbis is an obligation to educate the children. Mitzvah ala av lo ala katan. The commandment is not on the child. The commandment is on the father. Huh? Shinantam levanecha. Of the father on the son. The children are not commanded. The children are not commanded. Lagabi Torah, but regarding the Torah, it says mitzvat asim in the Torah ala av lamedet bano katan Torah. Ve'achiyuv hu av ala ben shechayev lamedet atzmo keshiyakir. If the father does not teach the child Torah, or the child doesn't have a father, then it's an obligation for the child himself to learn as soon as he recognizes what God is. Children, 6 years old, he has an obligation on himself. Atam, the reason is mitzvah hein bagbala. Commandments are limited. Ulam Torah, but the Torah is unlimited. This is for all the Jewish people. So a child, as soon as he becomes, has any sense, 3 years old, 4 years old, he already has to go and learn. If you see a child that doesn't know Torah, then you have to help him to learn Torah. It's an obligation. Even if he's not your child. Not your child, you have to teach him Torah. And that's what the Rebbe did. The Rebbe had what's called, they had the Shtei Mesrei Psukim, right? The Psukim. And children all over Israel. I don't think there's a child in Israel. Now they're not children anymore. Now they're 30 years old. Right, 30 years old. There used to be a time, I've seen it. I saw it. This was 30 years ago, even more. 5 years ago. That we went to a nearby town, and I learned in a kollel, and in the break, me and another Chabadnik, we used to take the kids. They used to bring buses, loads of kids there, because it's a Zionist, ancient, primordial Zionist attraction. One of the founders of Zionism lived there. So it's like a house, that's all there is. A house. You go and the kids come and they look at the house. That's it, this is the house. This is where he lived, this is where he this is where he ate. Who cares? Who knows what the guy was? Who knows what he said? And that's it. And the rest of the time they were watching the pigeons. The place was blessed with pigeons. Thousands of pigeons going dirtying up the whole place. That's what the kids watched. But they flew in formation, so it was sort of interesting. But that was all they had to do, and then wait for the bus. So me and this other guy, we took them into the shul. We say, listen, you got nothing to do. You want to come into the synagogue? Yeah. And the kids, this was like 3rd grade, 4th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. The children didn't know anything. They didn't know what was in the Aron HaKodesh. I said, you know what's in here? So one of the kids had a television. Nobody laughed. A television? I thought somebody would laugh. Nobody laughed. They really didn't know what was inside of the Aron HaKodesh and that there was a Sefer Torah. They'd never seen a Sefer Torah before. I took it out. They didn't know what it was. I took out the Sefer Torah. I said, okay, everybody stand. I said, say Shema Yisrael. All right, everyone. Ready? Shema. The kid says Shema. I say Yisrael. They say Yisrael. I said to the kids, Ado. They said Ado. No, I mean Adon. No, I mean Adon. Whatever I said, they repeated. They didn't know it was a prayer. They never heard of Shema Yisrael before. Never. All of the kids. We're talking about all of them. Right? All of them. The same thing in Or Yehuda. The kids just didn't know anything. The Rebbe changed the whole thing. Children all over the world, all over Israel for sure. Right? Every child knows the Pesukim. Bereshis bara Elokim Hashemayim v'zoretz, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, v'shinantam levanecha. They know what the word, and they understand what the words mean. That's the main thing about children. Therefore, Jerusha Yatav of Matan Torah, Eruvutam Shalabanim. Therefore, at Matan Torah, God said, I'm not sure that you Jewish people are going to respect the Torah. Have you got any guarantors? And they said, all right, what about the wise men? What about the prophets? What about God said, no, none of them are good. What about the children? God said, that's good. The children, they'll be the guarantors that the Jews will keep the Torah. Lagabi mitzvahs shenitztav mara, regarding the mitzvahs which were commanded at this place called Mara, lo yatzorach be'eruvut. And God didn't ask for any partners. He didn't ask for any guarantors. Davka lagabi matan Torah hayatah derusha b'eruvut. Only in Matan Torah, God demanded that there be guarantors that the Jews would keep the Torah. Why? Because Matan Torah was Torah, the main thing of Torah. Before that, there were only commandments. And here we have a new thing which is called the Torah. If Jews only do the commandments, even if they do the commandments according to the secrets of the Kabbalah, of the reason for the Torah, but eventually a person doesn't learn the Torah, he doesn't really connect with God. So the next generation, they'll do the commandments because I saw their father do it. And the next generation, they'll do the commandments a little bit differently because they forgot exactly what their father. And the next command, because they're not interested in getting close to God. They're interested only in just doing the rituals and continuing this heritage, whatever it is. Okay, Herschel. Therefore, the fizeh, according to this, we can understand Ikar Matan Torah, the main thing of Matan Torah was not in order to give the commandments. But the main thing of the Matan Torah, when Jews got the Torah, was to receive the Torah. The Torah is obligated on every Jew, men, women, children. And since that even small children are obligated to know Torah, Taluyim HaChashivut Davka B'hem. Therefore, the importance of the Torah and the ones who were the guarantors to receive the Torah were the children. Kamoshe Mesayim, like it says in the Midrash, Mipi Olim V'Yomkin Yesarata Oz, that in the mouths of what do they call it? Of babies and the nursing children. That is the power of the Jewish people. That is the power of the Jewish people, because the small children, they're learning Torah in a completely different way. When they learn Torah, it's pure. They're doing it only for the sake of the Torah. Yudalit. That's why the Torah is called truth. Emet me aleph ataf. Emet is from the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is, what's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet? Aleph. What's the last letter? Tov. Emet, the word emet is aleph, mem, tov. Aleph is the first letter, tov is the last letter. Torah emet, it's midregot el nalot, from the highest possible levels of godliness, ad lepachutod, until the lowest. Mitzad echad. Have you got more? No, that's it.
Yes, 14.
You have 14. Oh. Mitzad echad. The Torah is called Omikron. The Torah is called the highest of highs. Lamaila miladayat amaisa. Higher than anything in the world. Lamaila miyanim kshurim ba'asiyah. Much, much higher above any sort of deeds or actions in this world. The Torah is before the world. But the Torah is also called Mitzad Sheni Yesh Lo Torah Omek Tachat. The Torah comes down below into this physical world, the lowest of lowest places, into the children. that even are exempt from the commandments, nevertheless they should learn the Torah. Okay, Zachariah?
Okay.
So what did we say? Have you any idea what we just finished saying? Can you repeat a little bit of what we said?
Hashem put the Torah in the world.
Right.
When little children learn the Torah, they don't do it for the wrong reasons. To become a big rabbi, to hurt somebody, to cast down power upon somebody. They do it for the pure good of the Torah.
Right. And therefore it says when God gave the Torah, he asked who's going to be a guarantor? Who will guarantee that the Jews will keep the Torah? And what did the Jewish people say? Who will be our guarantors? The children.
The children?
The children. The children. Because the children, when they learn Torah, it's pure, and they have the right idea of what the Torah is. Torah is pure godliness. They have no, like you said, ulterior motives. Children. That's our hope. But you got it right. Ha'amur hu gam esber lekach. This is also the explanation. Shemotzim an lashon. There is an expression yagdil Torah v'yadir. There is an expression that's called make the Torah great and, how do you say, adir means like super, tremendous. Adir b'marom, like make the Torah spectacular. Yagdil Torah, the Torah should be made great. We have to make the Torah great and spectacular. Yagdil Torah v'yadir. What does it mean? In one place it says, it says by a person who teaches small children. There is no law of unfair competition because Yagdil Torah v'yadir. It's talking about Elo Oskim Betchilat Alimud Omek Tachat. If you open up a school to teach young children, and it succeeds, and someone opens up a school for young children right next to you, you can't say, close him down. He's interfering with me. No. The more Torah, the more life. That we have to increase Torah. By increasing Torah and making the Torah spectacular and wonderful, that's a wonderful thing for Hashem. The more Torah, the better. Should be more places to learn Torah. And in other words, even for the smallest children, the lowest level of awareness, even for them. In another place, it says by a dag tahor. It says by a permissible fish. The Gemara says, any fish that has scales has fins. Good? There's no such thing as a fish that has scales and does not have fins. Now there's two signs for a kosher fish. Kosher fish has to have scales and fins. If it's missing one of them, it's not kosher. But one second, but then the Torah says that all fish that have scales, automatically they have fins. So why mention fins? Just say any fish that has scales on it is kosher. Right? It could be that there's a fish that has fins, doesn't have scales. Could be, but that's also not kosher. So if you have to have both, it means that it has to have scales. And so just say it has to have scales. If it has scales, why does the Torah even mention the word about fins? The Torah says that because Yagdil Torah v'yadir, Hashem wanted there to be more Torah. Kan kavar medubar b'Torah b'chinas atzma shelamayla mileda et ha'maisa. Here we're talking about the essence of the Torah. which is higher than knowing what the law is. According to the law, you don't have to say the word fins. Just say scales. That's good enough. Why does that add on the word fins? Because God wants there to be more Torah, even though it's not relevant to law. So if so, we see that this term, Yagdil Torah v'yadir, make the Torah great and spectacular, is used for teaching children. That's the lowest level. And it's used for the highest level. God personally himself. He just put words into the Torah just so that there should be more Torah.
But I can think of lots of places where there could be more Torah.
God decided to do. God decides where to do it where He is doing it. I mean, sure, good. God could have put the Gettysburg Address. He could have put it in there.
No, milk and meat.
What?
There could have been more Torah when it comes to milk and meat. Eating milk and meat. It's so brief in the Torah.
The way the Torah said it is longer. If you want it to be, if the Torah would have said exactly the law, then it would have said don't cook, eat, or enjoy Torah, milk and meat. That's what it should say.
Yeah.
What it doesn't have. What it says much more.
It says don't cook a calf in mother's milk.
It says it 3 times.
Does it?
Yes. If the Torah would have just said, don't cook, eat, or enjoy milk and meat. That's pretty short. But what does it say? Don't boil a calf in its mother's milk. Don't boil a calf in its mother's milk. Don't boil a calf in its mother's milk. The 3 times. The Torah says, why does it say it 3 times? One time to say that eating is forbidden. Another time to say that just cooking is forbidden, even if you don't eat it. And the 3rd time to say that if it was cooked, you can't get pleasure from it. Complicated laws. You can learn it if you want to come. We teach it here. B'kol sugei afanim b'limud Torah, and all the different types of learning Torah, whether it is for the older children, whether it is for God Himself, He just put these words, or for the young children. Nevertheless, there is this idea of Yagdil Torah v'yadir, make the Torah great and spectacular. And there's another thing. When God gave the Torah, He said, Oti atem lochim. You are taking me. Please open the door a little bit, Mr. Smith. Open the door. It's just too conducive to sleep here. That's what it says, Korov Hashem l'chol, Korov l'chol asher yikru ve'emet. God is close to all those who call Him, namely what? Those who call Him in truth. And it says, Ein emet el Torah, there is no truth except for the Torah. V'kol ofanim, l'chol asher yikru, anyone who calls God, be'emet, which is the Torah, anyone who learns the Torah, whether you understand or you don't understand. You read the Torah, that's why you make a blessing when you get called up to the Torah, even if you don't understand what it's saying. Make a blessing. Korov Hashem, lochim et atzmuta, you take the essence of God when you learn the Torah. Shari ha'etzem kesha'ata tofes miksaso, min etzem ata tofes et kulo. A thing that says the essence, when you grab a little bit of it, you grab all of it. If you grab a garment of the king, right? That holds the king. The king's bodyguards will come and rush at you immediately. The same thing as if you grab the king around the neck. Right? Holding the garment of the king is also a little bit of it. That's why it says, even a small child that he learns the Torah doesn't understand. A little bit of it, he's grasping the whole entire king. Therefore, says the Rebbe, we should sit and learn the Torah. Yitein Hashem, may God give it. Shenaso b'limud Torah, that we should learn Torah. But call ofanim any way we can. Whether we understand, we don't understand. B'kulam b'bechinat yagdil Torah v'yadir, and it should be in a way of increasing the Torah and making the Torah spectacular and beautiful. Sha'al yedei kach, that by means of this, Tavo will come, hold on. 1 minute, I'm finished. Anovaz mi yom chatunato, zomatan Torah. By means of this, there will be a new person that comes from the day that God gave the Torah. It's called his wedding day. The domalatz muto yisbrech univtza et binyan olam. We will make the creation of the world. Ba'asiyah mata be'emsut hamata gam amayla yerida lo yitbarech. By means of the physical world. The number 3. We Jews who are in number 2 will bring God, who is number 1, into the world and show true unity. How is this done? Torah. So the main thing is learning the Torah, the essence of God, bringing the essence of God into the world. Thank you very much.